What is going on, good people? You got the two voices, no filter. Welcome to Raw Takes Unfiltered. And we are going to be talking about wrestling, something that my boy Triborough loves to talk about. So tonight is going to be a very, very big focus on the Hulk Hogan documentary and basically a wrap up of WrestleMania and what we feel like the future of wrestling is going from here on out. We are waiting for our guest. He might end up having to leave early. He's coming in a little late. He's got some things doing, but hopefully he'll come in soon. And can you make the announcement for our boy Ray and remind everybody what is coming out May 1st?
Next week, May 1st, we have the homie from Newark, New Jersey, Ray Lansky, and he has a docu-series coming out. You got to respect the Legends docu-series Verse Gods on Globehouse TV. Everybody should check it out, all hip-hop heads. Or if you love documentaries and music in general, this is a must-watch, and I can't wait. We got to bring him back on the show and review that whole docu-series because it was epic.
Yes, I do have it pinned in the comments right now. And when we are done, it will also be in the description on all three channels in the comments as well, like we did last week. $5 to join. Totally worth it if you just join it to watch this documentary because we are trying to get him on a higher global scale the next time when part 2 releases. So we want him to be everywhere. Netflix, Amazon. And, again, much love to Globehouse TV. They are doing some fantastic things over there, giving people an opportunity. But we need Ray to be on a higher tier because he worked hard on this documentary, years in the making, editing. And I can tell you from experience, editing videos is not fun at all, especially when you want to have somewhat of a decent video. So, anyways, I want to get right into it, Triborough.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the Hulk Hogan documentary?
Oh man.
Right into it, baby.
I'm gonna tell you, I loved it. Some of the things I did know because, like, when the WWE was releasing the DVD set, they would have like the wrestler's story, the background. So some of it I did know, but there were other things that I didn't know. But I love the fact that they broke it down from his childhood. And him being like the youngest kid, and he had an older brother named Aaron, and Aaron, was in a biker gang, and Hogan's father wanted Terry to be more like Aaron, and he said, I'm not doing that. I'm going my own way, and we was in a rock band, and his parents was pissed. He got kicked out of the home for being in a rock band, and he already had the look. He had the long hair and the muscles, and he was working out, and he was a chubby kid, and he ended up working out when he got older, and he already. Mike, what up?
What up, Mike?
Mike, can you hear us?
What up? Sorry about that. I was having trouble. Yeah, can you guys hear me? Yeah, sorry about that. I was having trouble getting in.
It's all good. This is what happens. Welcome to technology.
Yeah.
We're actually going over what we thought about the Hogan documentary.
And and I was just talking about, like, Hogan growing up, and they showed like all of the archival footage and the pictures, and I love watching like the old footage that they had of him at different stages in his life and his career, and you had his friend B. Brian Blair from the Killer Bees. Always loved the Killer Bees growing up, and he was in there, talking about when Terry was a super destroyer, and that was like his name before he got the Incredible Hulk, and then Hulk Hogan, and just him going up through the ranks, and then when he got that call from Vince McMahon Sr. to be in the WWF at that time, and like I said, like my introduction to Hulk was 84. So like 84, when he won the title in the WWF for the first time, that was my introduction to him in WWF. And it was on from there. It was like Hulkamania was born, and just watching different stages of the popularity and the money and the fame that came with it. He was doing drugs, and I loved it. I loved. They were very in depth with this documentary and talking to other wrestlers like Bret the Hitman Hart and Kevin Nash and Lee Brian Blair from the Killer Bee. They talked with them about him. Million Dollar Man was in it, and the, Hogan was like everything we see now when it comes to wrestling entertainment and Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and John Cena. That was Hogan before them. Like he put wrestling mainstream on a mainstream scale worldwide. Like I remember WrestleMania 3 seeing that on the news, like the results of him being the first wrestler to body slam Andre. You know what I'm saying? At Mania 3 and winning, and that was on the news. They wasn't covering wrestling on the news until WrestleMania 3. You know what? Nobody cared about Mania 1 and 2. When 3 came, it was promotion everywhere. I remember getting the wrestling program for that as a kid at the newsstand because that's how hyped I was to see that match. And he put wrestling on a mainstream scale, and they had nobody in the company that could carry the company like Hogan. You know what I'm saying? Like Bret was a great champion. He couldn't carry that company like Hogan. You know what I'm saying? And we don't get somebody, even when they talked about Ultimate Warrior and passing the torch to Warrior, and when they fought at WrestleMania 6, and Warrior was already the IC champion, and then he beats Hogan for the world heavyweight champion. Warrior didn't have a great championship run. And they realized their mistake, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta," he ended up leaving and going to WCW, and then that was just bad for Warrior for his career. But nobody could carry that company like Hogan, which is why he kept winning the belt all the time. And we don't get nobody that was able to carry the company until Stone Cold Steve Austin came, and then when he came, and you had the Raw Attitude Era, and then you had The Rock coming into his own, and Triple H, DX. Taker was there, Kane. That's when we saw the beginning of the Monday Night Wars with WCW. You know what I'm saying? But before then, nobody was carrying the company like Hulk.
Well, even then, Hulk carried WCW. You know what I'm saying? For the longest time, becoming a heel.
That is awesome.
I for me, the only two aspects I could have done without on this documentary was they didn't need to bring up the TV show. Nobody cared about that damn show. That VH1.
I did. I watched the.
I didn't.
Hogan Knows Best. Yeah.
I don't. I didn't like that show. I was never into those like Real World and all that shit. Laguna Beach. It just never really hit me like that. I was watching actual like TV shows, not reality shows. And I do not like Nick Hogan. I want to smack the shit out of him. I just don't like him. I think that they should have totally kept him out of the documentary. All I want to hear is his voice. I don't want to see his face.
Right.
Because if I did, or you did, or Mike did what he did, we'd still be in prison.
Right.
But because he's got a rich daddy, he gets to get off and he thinks life is sweet. He has no regrets. You can see it in his face. He has no shame about what he did. So in my opinion, I could have done without seeing Nick, and that's it. Those are the only two aspects of that documentary that I didn't like. I liked seeing his rise. I didn't know a lot of that stuff. I didn't even know he had a brother. And I didn't know he was part Italian.
Right.
So, these are things that I learned from the documentary. But as far as seeing Nick and mentioning the reality show, those are the only two things I didn't like.
Mike, what did you think about it? No, go ahead.
Honestly, I'm not a big, huge fan of documentaries like that, honestly, but watching this though, it kind of reminded me I'm gonna be honest with you, it reminded me of how appreciative we are getting to see Hogan rise up to the way he did. You know what I'm saying? From WWF to NWO and stuff, and how he carried, the company. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't seen too many documentaries, but I think this is probably one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long time. Honestly, because I love how it touched on the rise, his rise and stuff like that.
Right.
Now, I would say this, as far as like Hogan and like movies, the only movie I actually enjoyed him in was a movie called No Holds Barred that
Mm-hmm.
came in '89. I thought that, a lot of people shit on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
loved it.
I liked it because it was cheesy. You know what I'm saying? I liked it because it's Hogan. You know what I'm saying? And he's one of the, few wrestler that, that turned to actor and stuff like that. His acting could have been better. I will say that. But, at the same time, like, when you see No Holds Barred, you see Hogan and, the cheesiness.
Plus, it has Zeus.
It
I
did.
mean, everybody loves Zeus. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And the other
Exactly.
movie that I liked from Hogan was Suburban Commando. I love that movie. I
Mm-hmm.
That
still
was
own
kind
the
of
DVD.
solid.
The other ones, Mr. Nanny, all that. And if you look, The Rock kind of mirrored all of that as well with doing like Tooth Fairy and all those. So
Right.
all these wrestlers have done somewhat of the blueprint that Hogan set in place. That's why when we had his unfortunate passing, I
Yeah.
hated the fact that everybody, the first thing they did was attack his like personal character, and that's not who we should be remembering. We should be remembering Hogan, the man that carried and brought WWE and WCW to new heights.
Right.
Granted, the WCW wrestling was horrible. Like even when there was too much of that cheesy shit for me, but I still watched it because Hollywood Hogan was an attraction, being evil, and then it just got to a point where everybody was part of NWO, and it just got,
Yeah.
storylines were corny and all that, and slowly WWE started. But I mean, they ran the whole thing for 84 weeks. That's a
Yeah.
long time.
It's
You know what
pretty
I mean?
impressive.
Very impressive. So to me, that he has done things for the wrestling that nobody else has done. As far as being the best wrestler, he's not the greatest of all time to me. Like I respect him as what he's done, but as far as wrestling, I think Bret Hart was a lot better of a wrestler, entertainment wise and storyline and all that. So I think he's one of the greater goats, in my opinion, is Bret Hart.
And I love the fact that Brett in the documentary said Hogan was Elvis and he was Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
And Brett to me, like, could be like the best wrestler, technical wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
Hogan wasn't that, but impact wise,
Impact wise,
like
no.
he was the first wrestler to have merchandise.
Yeah.
So when you look at all the stuff that came out during that time, the video games, the bed sheets, the merch, that was all Hogan.
And the first one to do a deal with Walmart.
With Walmart.
The first wrestler to do a deal with
Right.
Walmart.
He had his own Saturday morning cartoon. He had like the ice cream bars. That was Hogan on the box for that.
Yeah.
Before everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And just hearing from Jake the Snake and hearing from when Brett was like, yo, they all wanted to be on the same card as Hogan because he was carrying the company even at that point, and they knew it. You know what I'm saying?
My bad. The cartoon. First of all, I watched that when I was growing up. The reruns, fantastic. And if it wasn't for that cartoon, Sergeant Slaughter wouldn't have crossed over into G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's so many different avenues that man has opened up for wrestling. Period. Yeah. That's why I hate it when they say he stole Billy Graham, his whole style and charisma. Yeah. Okay. But Billy wasn't going to do what Hogan did for him, for wrestling. Because if that was the case, Vince would have went after Billy, not Hogan. So I hate when people like say, oh, I can't believe that he stole the whole swag. Listen, it worked and he did it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What up, Nash? What up? Nash. Speaking of Kevin Nash, he really got stabbed in that movie Punisher?
Did he really?
Yeah.
On the set?
Guy. Yeah, you see them? Do you see the one with the Punisher, the movie?
Yes. With Thomas Jane.
Yeah, with John Travolta. Yeah. He actually really did get stabbed. That was a real butterfly knife that the prop guy forgot to replace.
Wow.
And still did the entire scene.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. I just learned that the other day.
So I love the fact that like that segment where they talked about, Vince felt like Hogan was getting old, it was getting stale. They wanted to switch it up and basically tell him like you're fired. And Hogan went over to WCW. He had that meeting with Eric Bischoff, and they started NWO, and it was like that is the best heel turn ever in wrestling. Nobody will ever have another heel turn like that ever. Like they tried to do that with Cena last year, and it came off corny, and it was late.
Yeah,
that's like 20 years ago. We've been waiting for that, and they did it too late, and it was garbage. But Hogan, nobody saw that heel turn coming, and this is at a time when there was no internet, there was no social media, so we didn't know what was going on, right? But that heel turn is the best heel turn ever in wrestling history.
And that's usually the best heel turns is when you don't see it coming.
Yeah. Nobody's seen it coming because he still came out in the regular Hulk. You know what I mean? Everybody thought he was going in to save Macho Man, and boom, he just drops the bomb on us.
Yep.
And nobody believed it. Everybody's throwing shit in the ring. I remember actually seeing it that night because my dad used to let me stay up with him and watch WCW with him. And when he did that, I was hurt as I must have been like 12 or 13 at that time, but I was hurt.
Right.
I was like, oh, my hero he's bad. You know what I mean? Like, so that type of thing, I just feel like doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But, it's all good. Anything else about the documentary that
there's so much. We could have been here for like 2 hours. I love every part of it. I just thought they were really thorough. Like, and the thing is, crazy thing is, like they were doing this before he passed away. I didn't have no idea that they were making a documentary about him.
No, he kept it under wraps.
It was crazy, but like he talked about when he first met Linda Hogan at she was a waitress at the Red Onion, and they just hit it off from there, and they had the kid, they had Brooke Hogan first, and then Nick, and they have like footage of them as a baby, and they were feeling some type of way because he wasn't home all the time, and I love the fact that they were thoroughly in depth with his career and his life, and having Eric Bischoff in there and talking about when he signed him, and then when Vince Russo came in, that was the end of NWO. It was just got whacked, and they couldn't beat Monday Night Raw. Like Stone Cold was bigger than all of them. They couldn't beat Stone Cold. They couldn't beat DX and The Rock. You know what I'm saying? Like that was must-see TV. I think like for that whole Attitude Era, I must have missed like one Monday Night Raw. I went to the movies one night and I'm like, yo, I gotta tape it because I can't miss Raw.
I was all
that was must-see TV. Like you couldn't miss that on Monday nights. You know what I'm saying? Like I was missing Monday Night Football for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, you know all that dumb shit with the Wolf Pack and all that, like everything. We just wanted it all.
Right.
That Attitude Era was just something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was.
It just wasn't. It wasn't your normal wrestling at that time. And again, yes, we all knew that it's predetermined because I never again will ever call wrestling fake. I did when I was growing up because I was pissed off finding out. Now I just say predetermined because these guys put their body through some shit just to entertain us. Right. And they don't get paid that much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially when they're first starting. He even says that in the documentary that he was making 800 a week, and he needed 1,000 a week just to survive.
Right.
You know, sleeping in his van. So to see all this stuff come to fruition, and then the second he passes away, the first thing people want to do is trash him, and it's so crazy. Same thing when Michael Jackson passed. Same thing when Prince passed. It's always a personal attack on their person and not the great entertainment that they brought us for generations.
Exactly.
Generations.
I agree.
You know,
these people don't really understand. Like, these people are human beings like us. They're gonna go through shit. They're gonna go through the same things that we go through, just on a different scale for them, because they have a lot of money and paparazzi always following them everywhere they go. So they have no privacy, right? When you actually meet a celebrity in person, you realize, like, oh, they actually real people. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, the biggest celebrity I've ever met was Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, and they were a family going out shopping for their kids. Yeah. No paparazzi around them, no security, nothing. There's a family shopping for their kids, and you realize, like, oh, they are a regular family, but you wouldn't know it because of all the drama you hear about them on social media and in the tabloids, and you know what I'm saying. People forget that. I'm like, bro, like, how many times we're gonna keep going through this with a celebrity? Oh, they did something bad. Let's focus on the bad and not the good.
Yeah,
nobody's perfect.
Nobody is, and
you know
anybody. But again, you know, it's all for clicks too.
Right. And when it comes to Hogan, it's like, bro, like, Hogan is a major part of my childhood. I'm not going to ignore that part of my childhood because of what he did in his personal life. I don't care who don't like it. That is what it is.
Yeah.
And that goes for, like, anybody that if somebody that you grew up watching that brought you so many great memories in your childhood, why would you ignore that part of your childhood because of what they did? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'll never, his legacy, I'm still going to keep the wrestling matches that I have of him and all the DVDs I own of him. Same with all the wrestlers. I've got all of them. Bret Hart, you know, Rey Mysterio, ECW, WCW, all these different rises and falls. I like watching those old matches because, again, that is when we got like that real kayfabe. You didn't see these guys in public together.
Right.
You know what I mean? When they were talking trash in the ring, you really thought some shit was going to pop off. It wasn't now where, you know, we get to see what goes on behind the scenes. And I get we're in a different generation and that's what they want. But I feel like us old heads, that's not what we want. Everybody from 30 and up, I don't think we want that type of wrestling because you have to remember 30 and, you know, between 30 and 40, they grew up in that attitude era like we did. I'll even say 25 years old. You know, I grew up, the first Hulk Hogan match I believe I seen was like him and Macho Man. You know what I mean? I didn't get to see when that whole Tyson thing happened because I was 2. You know what I mean? So I didn't know what was going on. I was still rolling around in the walker. You know what I mean? Probably. So, but my dad used to record all those, you know, old wrestling shows and everything, and I used to watch them. And that's how I learned about all that history and shit.
Right.
So the documentary is really well put together. I just wish those two things were not in it. But it does go with the storyline because that did lead to their breakup and, you know, him and Linda divorcing and going through that ugly battle as well. And they could have kept the sex tape thing out of there too. They have a whole separate documentary for that. You know what I mean? So I feel like they could have kept that out of it too. You know what I mean? Like it should have stayed a little bit more on the positive and just let the legend and the legacy talk more in this documentary versus basically having one whole episode where it's just almost nothing but bad. You know, the sex tape, the divorce, the cheating, the this, the that. I love how they didn't bring up Nick shit, but that's okay, Nick. You know, so that stuff I feel like they could have did without that episode. You know what I mean? Other than that, I thought it was fantastic. I really did enjoy it. Watched it 3 times already. All 4 episodes. You know, it was that good.
It was, and yeah, they. I love that. Like I said, they talked about the divorce with Linda and Hulk, and Linda was seeing a younger man, and the younger man was driving Hulk's yacht,
Yeah.
his boat, and she was like sticking it to him because he cheated in their marriage with the friend's wife or whatever, and had the tape, and that was a thing. And they talked about his AEW. I didn't even know he was in AEW until I saw the footage. I'm like, he was in AEW.
Yeah,
When was
I
that?
didn't even
I
know that
missed that.
either.
Yeah, so he was there. They talked about the death and his legacy. Everything about it was great. Like they were really thorough about this documentary, and to me, it was like one of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Mike, any other thoughts on the Hogan documentary that we haven't touched on?
No, pretty much. I mean, like I said, I don't care for documentaries like that, but I give this one 5 out of 5. I think it's one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Man, you got to get up on the documentaries, man. I love documentaries. I love watching all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's so much knowledge in there and things that like I said, I didn't know he was Italian. I didn't know he had an older brother. I thought he was the only kid. I didn't know he was a fat kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then becomes this huge giant. So, the things you learn on there, I loved it.
Yeah.
All right, let's really get into what you two are going to be talking about, and that's WrestleMania.
Oh man,
I have heard. I didn't watch it. Only watched highlights because I'm not doing the 2-night thing anymore. Like
right.
I'm done with it. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I got 5,
Mm-hmm.
and to both of you, I want you to answer. What match did you not want to see? And then it ended up to be actually really good.
For both nights, or just like
no, but whatever matches you want to talk about that you weren't really looking forward to, and then it just kind of shocked you, like, oh shit, this is actually pretty good.
I think the Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre match, because I've never been like a big Drew McIntyre fan, and he had his. When he first won the title, we were in the pandemic, so nobody was around to see that title win. And then he loses it. I feel like he's very boring. He doesn't really have personality. Mm-hmm. But Jacob Fatu, like, he's gonna be a future champion. I see it already. He's already challenging Roman Reigns after he won his the title from Punk. And I think Jacob, and that was an unsanctioned match, so they could have did anything, and WWE wasn't responsible, but that match was entertaining because of Jacob, and that to me was the best match for night one, because the Cody and Randy match was garbage. Like, Randy, he's still a main event draw, but they're not giving him the title. And I told people that. I'm like, he's not winning the title. Cody just won the title back, and I don't see what would be the reason for Cody losing the title in Mania, and injured Randy Orton at this point late in his career. He's not gonna be around to challenge nobody during the summer. He's already injured. They were saying he was injured even before the match. So I'm like, that match was stupid. Having Pat McAfee out there made no damn sense. You know what I'm saying? That was disappointing. The Usos match with LA Knight against Austin Theory and Logan Paul, that was okay. But again, like, I'm not a huge Logan Paul fan. I think he's very overrated.
Yeah.
But that the Jacob Fatu and Drew match was good. Surprisingly, was good. But I think it was really good because of Jacob. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's strong, he's athletic, and he did a lot of things in the ring, with Drew that if it was anybody else, I probably wouldn't have even watched that match. Mm-hmm. But that was the best match for night one, in my opinion. I don't know how Mike feels about it, though.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with the internet over here. I'm not getting that great of a signal.
Any matches that you didn't want to see and then surprisingly shocked you?
You know what? I'm gonna be Are we talking about night one or just the whole WrestleMania?
I mean, you could do the whole thing if you want. I just wanted to know if you had like one match where you just like, and then you were like, oh shit.
Right.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you, and I'm gonna say this now. The Roman and CM Punk, the best
Yeah,
match
that was the best match.
out of,
Definitely.
out of all of them.
Yep.
I didn't. The one with Jacob Fatu didn't care for that. Cody Rhodes, okay, he he keeps a title. At this point, I'm waiting for him to turn heel. That's what I'm
Yeah.
waiting on. I want Cody to turn heel. When is that gonna happen? And how is it gonna happen? My only gripe with the CM Punk and Roman Reigns, I wish CM Punk, I'm gonna be honest with you, he should have kept the title. He should have got a good title run. You know what I'm saying? Roman Reigns, huh?
That's what I was going to ask you guys next, because that's been a big controversy with WWE fans. Do you think Roman should have won the belt?
No, because he's kept it for years. Like, how many more times is you're gonna give this man a title run? You know what I'm saying? And unless the only way I could see him lose it, I could see him running the title for about next year's WrestleMania. Him and Obi Femi.
Yeah.
You know what? And they're teasing a match with the both of them. I would like to see him and Obi Femi go at it for the title, and Obi Femi won. Next year's WrestleMania. I would love to see that, but how many more times is Roman Reigns? He's going to have this title. There's nothing else left. I'm sorry, he shouldn't have won. They should have gave CM Punk a nice run.
Now, hold on, Triberg, because I'm gonna put words in your mouth, because you told me something, and you knew he was gonna win. Tell him why you knew.
Because him, like Hogan, is carrying this company right now. John Cena is gone. There's no more Cena. Gone. Roman carried when Roman was on SmackDown. He carried SmackDown and had the best ratings in years with him in the Bloodline. That whole Bloodline story. Like I was even missing SmackDown for years because it was boring. But when they did that Bloodline story, I didn't miss it. He's carrying that company right now, and Netflix needs him on the flagship show. They need him on Monday Night Raw. That's why he told people in the post conference that I'm going to be on Monday Night Raw every Monday night from now on, because he got tired of hearing of him being a part-time champion. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like this is going to be his last reign as champion. I think after this he's going to retire.
So do you think they gave it back to him because they feel like CM Punk can't carry it?
No, CM Punk. But if they were smart, they need to trade CM Punk to SmackDown, because Cody has no competition on that roster. Look at that. They got rid of a whole bunch of people today, or for both brands. Cody has battled everybody on that brand. There's nobody on that roster right now that can challenge him. Right. So if they smart, you trade CM Punk and maybe a couple of other people, maybe Bronson Reed when he comes back from injury, you trade them to SmackDown. So at least Cody has a real threat on that brand. You know what I'm saying? But I think CM Punk was a great champion. Like he finally got his main event, and that was the best match. I agree with Mike. That was the best match of the whole weekend. There was no interference. There was no shenanigans. Just pure wrestling. It was a great feud, and I loved it. I think that out of everything else, that was the best match of that's what you want as a wrestling fan. You don't want no interference from the bloodline and this person coming out. And, it was just a pure great match, and that's what wrestling fans want. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, like, I think that's the reason why he won it again, because this is gonna be his last reign as champion. After this, he's gonna you have a Brock Lesnar, supposedly he's gonna retire. I think Randy Orton needs to join them also. He needs to retire also. He's not great anymore. He's not great anymore. He's still a draw for main event, but he's not gonna win no title. And I think this is gonna be it for Roman. I think they're building up the feud with Tim and Oba. I think Oba is definitely gonna be a future champion, and this is the way to do it. Like you build it a year in advance for next year, 43 next year in Saudi Arabia, and that's gonna be must see TV too.
Yeah.
Mm. So do you? All right. So do you think that? Here's my prediction, and I think Mike, you're onto something. With we're waiting for Cody to turn heel.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to turn heel until after Street Fighter, because remember, he's playing Guile.
Right.
Exactly.
And Guile is the good American soldier boy.
Exactly.
So I don't think right now, if you've ever noticed, they've never jeopardized their move, because that's getting them exposure as well.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, like Akuma being played by Roman, they're going to keep it. Akuma's a bad dude. He's a badass motherfucker in that video game. And he was in Tekken, so they're not gonna have him go good. You know what I'm saying? So, they have to keep that formula. But I think sometime after that premiere is when Cody might actually go heel.
I agree.
You guys might get your wish.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I would say maybe Royal Rumble at the latest. He should turn heel.
If not, they should probably just scrap the whole idea.
They should have did that with John Cena. Scrap it. But
that's what I heard.
I agree.
My son said it was the worst.
That was like the most god awful heel turn. It wasn't even heel turn. It was cheesy. Yeah. He didn't do nothing menacing.
Yeah, Brock definitely retired, left all his stuff in the. Yeah, you told me that. He left all his stuff in the room.
But the rumor is he might officially retire for SummerSlam, because SummerSlam going to be in Minnesota this year. He's from Minnesota.
He's saying he thinks they made a mistake, but Randy's always
he's injured right now. He was injured before the match. You can't have an injured champion like carrying that company into SummerSlam. It's not gonna work.
I mean, they could fake the funk like Seth did back with Money in the Bank.
Seth,
you know what I mean?
At this point, Seth is better than Orton. At this point, even with a bad leg, he's better than Orton right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just think it would be Randy Orton is great, but I don't think putting the championship on him at this late in his career would be good. I think Cody just won the title back after he lost it. Like, you can't lose it again and then to Randy Orton? Nah.
Yeah.
If anything, maybe SummerSlam, but not now.
Yeah. It's crazy, but I like I say, I don't think Cody's gonna go heel, if he even does, until after the Street Fighter thing, because that's gonna ruin the image.
Well, I mean, I'm not even if they make him turn heel, cool. I'm not even like wanting that. I just feel like he needs competition on the roster. That SmackDown roster is terrible. There's nobody right now that's a real threat to him, and the people that have potential are not ready yet. Like Trick Williams just won the U.S. Championship. He's not ready yet. Same with Melo. He's not ready yet. You know what I'm saying? They just let Jacob go to Raw. So Jacob gonna be on Raw challenging Roman. So you don't have that threat of Jacob being on SmackDown anymore. So who's next up for Backlash? If it's not Randy, who's a real threat for Cody Rhodes for SummerSlam? There's nobody right now on that roster.
No. My buddy Ty said give it to LA Knight.
And LA Knight would be a nice match. Is he a real threat though to beat Cody for that belt? I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is either. All right, 2-parter question. To you guys, big fans, watched all of the WrestleManias and always gave you that feel. What were your thoughts when you actually seen the arena? Did it feel like a WrestleMania to you? And what was the worst match that happened?
You want to go, Mike?
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead, try.
It definitely felt like a WrestleMania. I always get that feeling around this time of year. Um, it wasn't. I don't want to say there was like worse matches. Some of the matches ended quicker than they should have. The Liv match against Stephanie Valcourt ended way too quickly. Like just for that build up and like the supposed like hatred between both women, for the match to end the way it did, it just ended way too quickly. Like they were like pressed for time or something, right?
Well, that whole ad thing you
Yeah.
said too, like running it like it's commercials. So now they're probably going to start paying for spots on, you know, like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which has never been done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yes, they've been ads on like The Ring, but we never had to cut to commercial on a pay-per-view to, you know, for ads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They did it again with the Oba and Brock match, the Oba Femi and Brock versus Brock Lesnar match. It ended way too quickly. It was like I was expecting more from Brock, and it's just like Oba just beat him too easily. I'm like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? So there was definitely something going on with the time of the matches, even the entrances. The entrances didn't feel big this year, with the exception of like, well, I think Finn Balor as Demon Finn always has like a great entrance. His entrance was great. You know, I love Cody Rhodes' entrance with like he paid homage to like the different phases of his career, Stardust and Dash and Cody Rhodes. I love that. But other than that, the entrances were bad. You know what I'm saying? And it like night 2 was clearly better than night 1. Night 2 had the better matches.
Yeah, I heard that a lot.
Yeah, the ladder match for the Intercontinental belt, that was great. Like I said, like Roman and CM Punk was great. You know, Rhea Ripley and Jade, they have to find something to do with Jade, because like her story ended with Naomi and with Bianca, and they both left because they had babies, or well, one Naomi had her baby, Bianca's having her baby, and Jade has no storyline now. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know what to do with Jade. Sami Zayn, I like Sami Zayn. They have to find something to do with Sami Zayn though, because he's just bland. You know what I'm saying? Like they either you put him in the stable or something. They gotta find something to do with Sami Zayn. Like when he was in the Bloodline, that was the best time for Sami Zayn. They were promoting him. You know what I'm saying? Like he was fighting when he fought Roman for the title in Montreal, one of his best matches. He's not in the Bloodline no more. You know what I'm saying? So without that compelling storyline for Sami, then there's no Kevin Owens right now. So we don't know if he's gonna come back ever to wrestling. But they gotta find something to do with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is too good of a talent to be wasted like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but I felt like night 2 had the better matches by far.
Watching the highlights for me, just like seeing the arena, it didn't feel like a WrestleMania to me. I just remember WrestleMania being like this enclosed, but like just so much going on the sides, and it feels like even the crowd felt like it was lazy.
Right.
And I feel like if you're going to pay that much to go see such a huge event, I mean, you have to think when WrestleMania 3, when they did the whole Mike Tyson and all that, back then, those were $100 a ticket for nosebleeds.
Yeah.
And look how excited these people were. So imagine back in the mid 80s, paying that much to be in the front row and not even be excited. And now, God knows how much a ticket is now. And it just felt like the crowd was just kind of like, oh, hey. And it just didn't feel like a WrestleMania. And I did not, the only entrance I actually did like was Roman's. He had the badass, you know, the drums and everything. And then Ripley. He's just bad. And, you know, so in my opinion, like everybody else, who's the guy there that had the heart and like he looks like he's got like the dread.
Oh, that's
thing.
Finn Balor, Demon Finn.
Finn Balor?
Yeah, that's his alter ego, Demon Finn.
Yeah, I was just kind of like,
that was a great match though. I like that match.
Good match, but
Yeah.
but him coming out, touching the heart and all that, I was like,
Yeah.
well, at least have the heart be bloody. Like, give me a little something, you know what I mean? Have some blood dripping off that shit.
Yeah.
But you know, it just, to me, only watching the highlights and watching the entrances, it just didn't give that feel. The only one that did was when the main event, second night, Roman and CM Punk.
Yeah.
And when CM Punk came out and he just stood there and the whole camera rotated around him, it was so like, I think Punk's gonna win.
Right.
I think Triburro's wrong. And then, you know,
I knew they're not gonna have Roman go into another Mania losing. I'm like, that's not gonna happen. Just like with Cody. Remember Cody lost last year to Cena. And we thought everybody was expecting the Rock to come out, and he sent Travis Scott. So you had Travis Scott cause Cody to lose the belt to Cena.
Yeah,
that was terrible. So I'm like, they're not gonna have Cody lose another Mania after what he been through just to beat Roman finally and get the title. I'm like, nah, that's not gonna happen. That's why I knew Roman was gonna win.
What did they kick out West Side Gun for?
They kicked out West Side because they felt like he was stealing like ideas for, you know, he has like his own pay-per-view, Heels Have Eyes.
Yeah,
and he has like a lot of like talent. He has a Zilla Fatu, who's directly related to the bloodline, a part of that pay-per-view, and they felt like he's stealing ideas from the company and going back to doing his own thing. But West, you could use West Side Gun right now.
Yeah, like,
you know what I'm saying? Like when he was taking the Chris Benoit images and all that for his album covers, I didn't hear nobody bitching and complaining about that.
Yeah,
right.
But again, it's giving them promotion. So when it's all for them, it's all good.
Right.
You know? So, but when it's not for them, now all of a sudden you know, you're stealing, you're doing this, you're doing that. Again, typical corporate.
But I'd rather see wrestling heads like him, Action Bronson, Smoke DZA, Wale. They're real wrestling heads. I'd rather see them it be like a part of a match than Little Yachty.
Yeah, the jelly roll thing I didn't like either.
That was dumb.
That was dumb.
Jelly roll, he's still doing
even my son, you know, who's a huge wrestling fan, he just was like, I don't even want to. He's like, why is jelly roll even in here? You're a country singer. Get out of here.
It wasn't needed. And we don't need no. I heard about a tag team match with having like Cody with jelly roll against Pat and Randy. We don't need that.
Yeah, we don't need that. And we don't need Cameron coming in and just keep his old ass home.
No.
Because now Cameron's taking shots now.
Come on.
At Oso because of what they said on stage.
Right.
He was talking about
Cameron. Roman.
So it's like Cameron don't need to get involved with wrestling, bro. You'll get your ass stomped. Yeah. Okay. This is not paid in full. This is not a movie. You don't have a stunt guy to jump in for you and double up. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
You're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
So Cameron, keep your old ass on the sideline. Sit down. Shut the fuck up. Because you're not doing anything. This guy will slam you.
Roman called him a washed up rapper. I'm like, who are you talking about? Because I didn't realize he was talking about Cameron.
Yeah,
like,
no.
They did have the whole fight.
I really hate that word because, again, we don't never call rock and roll legends washed up.
Right.
But, you know, I guess it's just a different genre. Rap has less respect for other rappers than rock and rollers, even though they talk shit behind each other's back. Mm-hmm. If the Rolling Stones wanted to go on tour with Stone Temple Pilots, they're going to get this money.
Yep.
And that's always been the smart thing about rock and roll. These two bands can hate each other, but they about that bread.
Facts.
And that's what rap has never understood. Get this fucking money.
Right.
But you know, that's my try. Go ahead. That's my rant of the night. One big question I want to ask to both of y'all, because I'm going to start getting back into it too, watching it more with my son. Where do you see the future of wrestling going?
Wait a minute.
Mike, you got to give us an answer, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Let me be real with you. the future of wrestling, I mean, if they don't start promoting like other you okay, you have all this talent, right? But y'all not giving like most of y'all to the talented guys that you have now, like y'all not giving much of a storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna be real. It's still to me, and this is part of the reason why I don't watch it like that anymore. Like I watch certain pay-per-views, I watch certain like highlights if it stands out.
Right.
But I don't wrestling. And let's just be it. Let's just be real. It's not going to go back to the attitude era. It's not going to go back to the ruthless aggression era. It's not going to go back to that. And we get there. But at the same token, if they don't start using some of the talented guys and put them in main events, it's just going to keep going down and down and down and down. It's already is. The writing sucks. Triple H, he can't. I'm sorry. He sucks.
He might have to get fired.
Huh?
He might have to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get fired. He's gonna have to leave.
Well, now that TKO owns it,
yeah,
it might be gone.
He's horrible. He's horrible. He's trash.
He's the one that suggested the whole Netflix documentary thing and like letting everybody see behind the stage. I think that was one of the biggest things of wrestling was kayfabe.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, tell me a time when The Rock and Stone Cold were going at it, or any of these guys were in the ring going at it. When did you see them with paparazzi together?
Right.
You never did.
You didn't.
You know what I mean? Outside of when Hogan and Savage, yes, they were together, but you didn't see them in public. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's just, I mean, they used to take vacations together and all that with their wives and all that. That's well known now. Mm-hmm. But back then, you didn't know that shit. You didn't know they were in Florida vacationing together while they're supposedly the match made in heaven and the match made in hell. We all remember that. So it's like, you know, all this shit when they had that storyline with Hogan and Elizabeth and they were going at each other like crazy. You didn't see them in public.
Right.
I miss that. I miss that feeling of, I wonder who's going to get fucked up next week. Mm-hmm. And I feel like now we know so much, it takes away from it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And yeah, I agree with you, Todd. WCW failed because it had horrible storylines, and everybody just wanted to be. And Sting became NWO at one point.
Right.
And he was a good guy. He was the only one WCW had left of a little bit of grace, and he becomes NWO. So it's like it was over at that point. It was done. They could bring in whoever they wanted. It was done, and it sucked. I'm gonna be another comment too. The Depression era has begun.
And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. For a second here. Watching WrestleMania this year. I don't know about y'all, but to me, they cheapened on. I felt like it wasn't really a WrestleMania like that. Like the decorations, like all that stuff, interests. I think they cheapened this year. You know what I'm saying? They didn't go all out like that. It was just very generic. The audience, and I'm glad you mentioned the audience. They were the most generic people I've ever seen. And like my thing is, if you pay all this money,
yes,
yet you're on your phone, or you on your phone on TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff. Why are you there? Yeah. Why are you there? Like go ahead.
That's just a thing now. Everybody wants, oh, look at me, I'm rich, I'm at WrestleMania, and it's clicks and likes, man. Clicks and likes.
Yeah, clicks and likes, yeah. It's like okay, get you 15 minutes of fame.
When I give my son to Charlotte, because wrestling comes to Charlotte like all the time.
Yeah.
And when I took him a couple years back, we watched the John Cena and Roman Reigns fight each other, and we were on our phones. Me and my son were enjoying ourselves, and we were, maybe 30 feet away from the ring. We were on the floor, probably like 10 rows back.
Right.
And we enjoyed everything that we did that day because we were there for an event. We were there to watch wrestling together. And these guys being on their damn phones, and people were doing this while the guys were coming out. My son couldn't see. And I had to tell, hey, man, lower your phone. And then they want to get attitudes.
Right.
It's so crazy.
It is.
It really is. And it didn't feel the crowd. From what I seen, I didn't even watch the whole thing. I just watched highlights and entrances. And it just was like, I remember I used to hear Hogan's entrance or Ultimate Warrior or Sergeant Slaughter or Stone Cold. When you heard that Glass Shatter Triborough, how were you?
Oh, yeah. I was hyped. Yeah. Or the rock entrance music, we were hyped.
Yeah, hyped.
Yeah.
You don't get that feeling anymore, ever.
No,
with
you don't.
These new guys.
The only time I feel like that is when a wrestler is injured and he comes back from injury.
Yeah.
Like when Roman came back, he was hyped.
Yeah.
Like, he's going at the blood. He's going at Solo Sikoa and the bloodline again. Like, we were hyped. I wanted to see how that was going to play out. Right.
Yeah.
I think the thing that has to change is too many titles. They need to get rid of some of those titles. Like the IC title don't mean anything anymore like it used to. They have to bring that back to prominence, right? The men's tag team titles wasn't even on the line at WrestleMania. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? They had the women's tag team title match at Mania instead of the men's, right? The whole thing with the two brands in the draft, they got to stop that. In the draft, they have to balance out SmackDown and make it a premier brand again, like they do with Raw. Like Raw is like the flagship show. That's why Netflix wanted Roman on here. They didn't want him on SmackDown, but they got to have SmackDown have a balanced roster where people are going to tune in to see, their stars that they might not be able to see on Raw, and it's still unbalanced. Like Roman, when Roman was over there, he bought the viewership because it's Roman and the bloodline. Everybody wanted to see them. They ain't on there. They on Raw now. So everybody's going to tune in to Raw. That's what I'm saying. Who does Cody have that's a threat on that roster? There's nobody. They have to even out the SmackDown roster, and it's a changing of the guard now where a lot of our stars from 20, 25 years ago, like Brock Lesnar, like Randy Orton, like even Roman, they're going out now. They're fading out. It's time for them to start promoting the younger talent, like Javion Evans. He was great in the ladder match. They got to start promoting him. Start promoting Sol Luca. Jada Parker, she needs to be on the main roster too. Bring her up. Obafemi, he's gonna be a future champion. Start promoting him now. This is what it is. There's gonna come a point where there's no more Roman, there's no more Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. They have to start promoting their future talent. And I'm seeing like when they bring up some of this talent from NXT, they're burying them. They look how long it took for Melo to actually come up to SmackDown, and they didn't give him no promo until he actually became the U.S. champion. He lost the championship now. So what do you do with Melo?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they got to start promoting their younger talent now.
I think they're just too hyped on the now and not the future. You know what I mean? They want every pop now.
Right.
And Todd said the last time he saw a big pop is when Jay also had his match against AJ Styles, and the ring was shaking. The fans were so hyped.
Yeah, that was good.
And that's the thing. It's like there's no feeling of that. That's the only time that I felt of the WrestleMania for a second was that second night last match.
Mm-hmm.
That when CM Punk came out and when Roman came out, that place erupted on both levels. Right. Everybody else just got a mediocre, Mike said earlier, people are on their phones and they're TikToking and Facebooking, and there's no more enjoyment. I know when, me and my wife go to a concert or the comedy shows or something like that. We ain't in our phones. Once that show starts, we there.
Right.
But everybody just wants to be the first.
But the thing is, there's too much emphasis on having the storyline centered around Roman, and if they can have other great storylines centered around the young up and coming talent, that would do wonders for them as well. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, I think people want to see Trick Williams go against Melo because they went against each other in NXT. It was a great feud. They're both talented wrestlers, and that's a storyline that you can build up now on SmackDown. Right, and building your young talent. So when you promote these people to the brand, they're not being buried for Sami Zayn or CM Punk,
or they have to go over for a CM Punk or a Roman, or when they should be focusing on the future now.
Exactly,
not the now.
Right.
Same with Mike. Who you think is the next big guy that's going to come out? Or do you really feel like they're just going to keep doing these old returns or these old pops?
They as of right now, I'm gonna be real with you. I kind of want Obi Femi to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, but I feel like it could go either way. It could either go with him and make him be the next big thing, or they might just cheapen out and just have old returns, which is just getting monotonous now.
Yeah.
But then I'm trying to think who are they gonna get to return now?
Yeah, I mean, even Triborough said he was happy that he didn't see The Rock pop up.
Right.
You know,
God,
it's old. It's old now.
They've been teasing that for years, though. Like the Rock versus Roman, we're not getting that match. And for what, at this point, why? For what?
For what? The Rock don't care. He making movie money.
Right.
He lost so much weight now. So I mean, he on to bigger things.
Same with John Cena. John Cena makes great, funny, hilarious movies.
Right. You
know what I mean? So why would he want to go back to just put himself through that? You know what I mean? I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they need to keep digging in that pot. You know, and I'm sure with this documentary, if Hogan was still alive and this documentary came out, I can guarantee you there would have been some kind of quick return, even though he's walking with a cane.
Exactly.
In the documentary, when he came out, no cane.
Right.
Right.
You know he's hurting. And you're going to have this man step in the ring again? Like,
right.
I mean, even Paul Heyman ain't even doing anything anymore. You know, he's not even promoting guys the same anymore.
He has his stable. He has the vision.
Yeah.
But how far are they going to go? You know
exactly. So he's not even promoting them right. Back in the day, Heyman, he would have promoted. They would have already been champions, way up there. Yeah. They'd have been the future already. But he's being held back by Triple H.
Right.
I really feel like he's been. If you let Heyman run that shit for a little while, I bet you it'll start popping again.
I agree.
I bet you it will.
It almost feels like Vince is pulling the strings behind the scenes.
That's what I remember you saying.
It feels like he's still around, and they're just not.
I think he is.
I'm like, Vince is calling some of these matches. He has to be.
He probably is.
Yeah, I get it, Todd, for the love of the game, but see, that was the biggest downfall with Hogan. He didn't know when his time was his time. Retire, be the legend.
To be fair, well, I mean, to me, that part where they talked about Vince tried to usher out Hogan, nobody was carrying a company like Hogan, so you had to stick with him. That's why he had so many times where he lost the title and he won it back, but he faced the legends, like when he you know what I'm saying, like Macho Man Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, like he was Yokozuna. You know what I'm saying? Like they had legends there, but none of those legends could carry the company like Hogan, right? And we don't get that until 1996, 97 when Stone Cold comes in and he carried the company for a whole other decade. going in, and then you put him around great other talent like The Rock and Triple H and Mankind, Kane, Taker, Hardcore Holly. Like that was must-see TV.
Yeah, and you have to remember too, it was like these guys took care of each other in the ring. And
Right.
when you really sit back and watch Ultimate Warrior's matches, he really wasn't that good. It was Hogan or Savage or Brett or these other guys making him look good. And that's the other part of the formula of wrestling is you need to make that other person look good. And that's why I loved Bret Hart so much, because not only was he fantastic, plus the family that he came from, you know what I mean? Yeah. He made other people look fantastic.
Right.
You know how much stress that puts on your stomach remember when he started doing the sharpshooter in the corner of the ring? Hanging? Like that's making not only you, but the other guy look good too. Like he's really in pain, yet Bret is the one that's really in pain doing that.
You said Bret Hart was a mid-carder? Oh, man.
Yo, whoa, Todd.
Slander right here.
Ooh, I don't.
I know you're the heartbreak kid. Well, my buddy Todd loves Shawn Michaels.
I love Shawn. Shawn is a legend.
Shawn is dope. Shawn is
not a mid-carder. No.
And his cage matches were crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I give it to him, and he took the reins, and he did carry them for a little bit with D. I mean, he started that whole DX shit, and I get that.
They're the best.
But it's also, again, other people were making Shawn look good as well. It wasn't just Shawn, just like it's not just Bret. It wasn't just Hogan. You heard $1 Million Man in the documentary. He had to make Hogan look good. Hogan only had the bear hug. That's all he had when he came up. So think about that. He didn't have the leg drop like he does and all that shit. He literally just had a bear hug and was shaking you. So, yeah, even Triborough going out. But, it's crazy. The feeling that we used to get as kids to the feeling that you get now, it doesn't hit the same.
No, it doesn't. Even watching old matches, when you ever hear like The Rock or Stone Cold, I still get goosebumps.
Oh yeah. Well, even when The Rock versus Hogan, that still gave like everybody was supposed to be against Hogan, and they ended up against The Rock. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, again, you just don't get that feeling anymore. And that's why after the Attitude Era, I watch it here and there. But it's just not something that I can dedicate every day or rewatch it every time for 3.5 hours for a mediocre storyline.
It's same. I can't do it.
Yeah, and most of the time that's what it is. It's a mediocre kind of storyline somewhere.
Exactly.
Whereas back in the days, when Sergeant Slaughter flipped, and all these guys were doing all these crazy things, that felt real. You know what I mean? You were like, Hogan, you got to beat Sergeant Slaughter, because we need America back. Like you believe this shit. You don't believe it anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? Again, when you heard that glass shattering and you saw Stone Cold with the knee brace running down to save somebody, you knew he was going to get the flip, and then he was going to get the beer cracked and chug, and that was it. You was getting the Stone Cold stunner.
Yep, exactly.
You know what I mean? And you don't get that feeling anymore. If anybody comes running down the ramp that's in now, not talking about older heads that just pop up like The Rock popping up and running down, but like anybody new runs down, the crowd don't pop like they used to. No. They don't get hyped like they used to. They are just, who are you coming to save? You know what I mean? Exactly. And like you said, WCW, when Hogan turned heel, nobody saw that coming.
Nah, no,
Nobody.
no. Yeah,
Nobody. And the
yeah,
whole playing on, Razor Ramon and Kevin Nash acting like they were invading when they weren't. You know what I'm saying? So, but we didn't know that. And that's what
exactly.
made it good.
Yep, exactly. I agree.
And they don't have that anymore. They don't have that same feeling. And
No.
unfortunately, I don't think they ever will, because this younger generation wants everything now, 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 now. I don't want to wait
Exactly.
for the build up. I don't want to wait. I need rumors. What's going to happen? Oh, this is rumored. And then when it doesn't go the rumored way, now it's all wrestling's a piece of, da, 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 da. It just gets so crazy.
It is. I agree.
So,
Yeah.
it just, you don't get that same feeling. If I saw Ripley running down to save somebody, it wouldn't excite me like
No.
Elizabeth when she came running to the ring to help her husband. She got a bigger pop than half these goddamn stars do now.
Right. Because she had personality.
Exactly.
The fans
Yeah.
loved her. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
but that's what
saying?
I'm
And
saying.
she showed emotion in the ring.
Yeah. But when she came running down to save Randy Savage that one night, man, the whole like everybody was just, oh my God, we love her. We love. You don't get that anymore. It's
No.
not there anymore, and it
Mhm.
sucks.
And there was Edge and Lita.
Well, and Edge and Lita, thank you, son. But even they didn't get that kind of pop
Yeah.
that
That was great.
Macho Man and Elizabeth used to get. No way. Like they were the couple back then, the power couple. Even when she got with Lex Luthor, they didn't get that kind of pop.
Mm-hmm.
They got booed most of the time
Right.
because they
Mhm.
didn't like the fact that Elizabeth was with Luger. So yeah,
Right.
back in the days, if the ladies they got beat up too. Yeah, well, it was just that's what it was. When Scary Sherry, what we used to run down, it just you got to pop. You don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
I
All right,
agree.
gentlemen. Anything else you want to say about where you feel wrestling's going or anything like that before we hop off? Or who would you like to see get like a little rise and anybody interesting?
I like Penta. I think Penta,
Yeah, he's dope.
what he's doing. Yeah, Penta is really has a promising career. Like I said, Javion Evans really good at, and I watched him in NXT. He was great over there. I hope they push them. Um, I like Dom too. I think I don't know. I don't know if Dom is gonna be like a legend like his pops, but Dom has a following, and maybe he might need to leave the Judgment Day and go solo. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see Finn Balor finally get a push for the championship because people forget he was the first one to win the Universal title, and he had to relinquish the title because of an injury. And you know what I'm saying? But they haven't they gave him another shot when Roman was champion at Extreme Rules a couple years ago, and he came close to beating Roman if it wasn't for Solo Sokoa interfering in that match. But he needs to be traded to SmackDown. I would love to see a feud with him and Cody for the title. Because I think it's time he's finally out of the Judgment Day. He's back to his regular self. He needs a title push. So I like to see Finn Balor finally get win the title. But they gotta promote their young talent. Oba, I love what they're doing with them. Promote that feud with Roman for next year. Um, Jada Parker, it's time that she come up from NXT to the main roster. Would like to see her get a big push. So Luca, same with her. They got the young talent there, but they gotta start moving away from the Randy Orton and CM Punk and start promoting the young talent that's on their roster now.
Todd said Austin, Drew Mack, and OBA.
Austin Theory is cool. Like that was Vince's guy. Like he saw big plans for Austin Theory. I don't see him being a world champion. I think he's good as IC champion, tag team champion. I don't see him winning the big one though.
Yeah, I really don't see anybody that can carry the company
Right.
like that. That's
Right.
newer. You know what I mean?
I
That's
think
still,
Oba can do it. I think Oba can do it. Like what? Like when he's found, if he's pushed in the right way, I think 2 years, 3 years from now, he can carry. He can carry either SmackDown or Raw.
and maybe Penta. You know what I mean? But
Penta is good. I like
yeah,
Penta.
I do like him too. All that acrobat, I love that type of wrestling. You know what I
Right.
mean? Very aggressive and very hard to do. You know what I mean? Even back when Shawn Michaels was doing it, that shit is tough, and especially on your body, bro.
Yeah.
So I give dudes like that all the credit in the world. Eddie Guerrero, still one of the legendary greats for high flying.
Right.
You know, even Bam Bam Bigelow was doing that shit with his weight. So all that high flying shit is really takes a toll versus just being in the ring.
Right.
You know, wrestling it out. Mike, any big ones for you, or
None I could think of. None I could think of at the moment, honestly.
No.
Jacob for two also. I think Jacob is gonna be a champion also.
Lie, cheat, steal.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, gentlemen, we are going to head out. Mike, thank you for coming, even though we all had issues with internet.
Yeah.
Anything you want to promote, Mike, or say before we head out?
I'm gonna be doing the Out and About Walmart video that's gonna be coming up. Hopefully I can get it out by this weekend. So definitely stay tuned for that.
All right. Try. Anything for you? Besides you going live almost every night? Actually, I haven't seen you go live in a little bit.
I didn't go live this week. I went live yesterday with Mr. Goddess. We're gonna have her on the show in the future. Shout out to her. We went live. We did a whole tribute for Left Eye from TLC. Rest in peace to Left Eye. The anniversary is coming up tomorrow for our anniversary, and just we were sharing some different memories of TLC, our favorite videos and songs, and Left Eye songs, and that was great. So you can check that out on Instagram, Mr. Goddess, and just Wednesday nights 8 p.m. I go live on my channel, Danny Rap Podcast. Salute to everybody that's been liking the short clips and the vids, and appreciate all the love.
Yes, sir. And I'm working on my Styles P bars video, so hopefully that'll be dropping Sunday if I don't get no damn copyrights. And speaking of copyrights, Warner Brothers, go fuck yourselves. But anyways, yeah, they put a 10-second clip I used. They put a copyright strike on me. I wrote to them. They still kept it on me. So Warner Brothers, that's why you're going out of business and trying to sell yourself. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, much love to all of y'all. And we will see you on the next one next Friday.
Yes.
We're going to get it popping. All right, man. Thank you again, Mike, for swinging by.